Well, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that a deal is easy to do. As you say, we're close on citizens' rights. I think the Irish thing is not incredibly complicated. The money is something that needs to be settled at the end. And free trade is very straightforward because Norway, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Iceland have free trade with the European Union, and they're not European Union members. And in fact, those that are members of EFTA, which I think are the three excluding Switzerland, their trade relations with the EU are judged not by the European Court of Justice but by the special EFTA body. So there's a perfect solution there for the British, and it's going to cost us a bit of money. Now, I'm slightly surprised that there's been a change of atmosphere because I thought the whole thing would only be settled at the 59th minute of the 11th hour. And in fact, I still think that. I still think
But the reason for the change in atmosphere is because Mr. Macron and Mrs. Merkel had got worried that they'd pushed Mrs. May too far, and they were worried about losing her because although they have no love for her, they still think she's the best one to do a deal.
Yes, I think that is probably right. And certainly Macron and Merkel are the only two people who matter. And what Janos was saying on that sofa a moment ago is absolutely right, that Barnier is not really a negotiator. In the end, this is a political deal. I mean, thank goodness, for all the criticisms I have of the European Union, thank goodness, in the end, it is two elected people, Macron and Merkel, who will make the decision.
Yeah, Barnier is like the speakeasy manager in one of those mafia films, where actually the main guy is behind the scenes.
Well, the EU 27 is holding up for more money. The net contributors don't want to give any more. The net receivers don't want to lose any. But there's no clarity on the money issue. People talk about money, but you know, it's our obligations up until the end of this budget. It's our obligations beyond that. It's continuing to be part of some European institutions. Is it cash for access as well to the single market?
Yeah.
But it's all being fudged at the moment. No one unpicks these figures.
Well, none of us really know what the discussions are. I mean, I sort of hope that somewhere there are some officials from our side and the EU side sitting down and doing some of the number crunching. The problem for the Prime Minister on this is that we had an indication earlier this year, as soon as a figure comes out, there's a area jumping on it from the, ardent leavers to say that's too much. But there's going to have to be a payoff. And then, of course, if we're going to have this, and I think we should, a strong partnership moving forward as we leave the European Union, they'll probably have to pay a contribution there as well.
That would be open-ended.
Well, exactly. But it's also
so that's more than a free trade deal.
Yeah,
then.
And this is part, exactly. But it's part of our contribution. It could be in pay or it could be from services, whether it's on security or other matters as well. That's going to be part of a continued future. And the problem is that it's so polarised, the debate on this still between, I voted Remain and campaign Remain, but ardent Remainers and ardent Leavers who still want to fight the trench warfare. And I do think that probably, Macron and Merkel, whilst wanting to demonstrate their strength, they do realise if they push too hard, they can leave the Prime Minister with no place to go, and they can see from the broadcasting we have here what a difficult time she's had of it in the last month. I
think that does explain the mood in Berlin and Paris. I don't want to move on to the budget. Sorry,
okay,
Marco.
Budget. Yeah.
It's a month away. Is the Chancellor really going to raise taxes on older people who vote Tory?
It sounds a very bad idea politically.
To give tax cuts to younger people who don't?
It sounds a very bad idea politically. It sounds a very bad idea economically as well. Generally, if you reduce taxes, you can quite often increase the tax yield, the old Laffer curve coming in. So that seems to me the stronger argument. But will it be listened to by Philip Hammond, who may be looking at a very short-term political horizon? We don't know at the moment. The big worry for the Conservative MPs at the moment is not only that it will be unpopular, but also that they somehow fall asleep during the delivery of his budget because he is such a stultifier.
They'll be listening because there's huge concern on the Tory backbenches that Mr. Hammond is a political tin ear and that he'll do things that they'll rebound. So they will not, despite the delivery, they'll be listening
they'll be
closely. Karen, the economy slowed down this year, and we don't know what yet's happened in the second half, but it did slow down in the first. Should the Chancellor, despite this existing size of the deficit, should he loosen the fiscal belt? Should he give the economy a boost with some extra spending?
Well, I think there's reasons for doing some spending anyway, because, and this isn't about preparations for no deal. I think, for example, our borders and our border agency and our immigration service need more resources. But they also, you know, the government are clear. They've given the signal that they are getting rid of the cap on public sector pay and asking the review bodies to do their business. So there's going to have to be more spent in that regard. But in terms of young people, you know, the biggest contribution the government could make, and given that the Prime Minister made this her mission at the conference, is on housing, whether that's particularly helping young people who want to buy with deposits, because that's actually what's stopping them.
Yeah, they just can't save the money.
I know young people who are paying nearly £1,000 a week in rent, which could be going, a month, in rent, which could go into a mortgage, but they can't find the many thousands of pounds to put down for a deposit. And then for those who can't afford that, it's social housing and affordable homes. That's the big thing for young people, I think, not
for
tax
young
cuts.
people. The big thing in general, though, increasingly so, Michael, I would suggest, is wage stagnation. Real wages are now lower than they were 10 years ago.
Yes.
10 years.
Yes.
In real terms, the average wages are £15 a week less than 2007. And it's not just a drag on living standards, that's obvious. It's now a drag on the economy. It's the main reason the economy is slowing down.
Well, I think all of these things are important, because I entirely agree with what Caroline said a moment ago. If the government boosted the housing supply and drove down prices, that would be an enormous step forward. I agree that wage stagnation is important, although I think that probably comes in various elements. I mean, for example, we've done extremely well getting people out of unemployment into employment. Some of those people who've gone out of unemployment into employment are in very low-paid employment, and some of them are in part-time employment, and that, of course, drags down the average figures. So it doesn't, of course, mean that everybody has had wage stagnation. No. Some people have been doing all right. Other people have come into the labour market on very, very low figures. But
which the taxpayer has to top up with benefits.
Exactly.
Yeah, but at the same time, they do feel it's their money. It's very important that they feel that they are spending the money that they have earned.
And we do have the national living wage now. So that's driving up wages.
1 in
at the
4
bottom.
men are in part-time work. I mean, you know, people are in quite casual work, part-time work, sometimes having to match two or three jobs together. I know in my own constituency. And it's a sense of lack of confidence that gives for people in terms of the future.
So it's better than being unemployed.
The thing we haven't mentioned is that inflation is about 3%. So if your wages are going up by 1% or 2% or indeed 0%, and we now have inflation at 3%, we're facing quite a crunch. So, I mean, the expectation is that people are going to feel a good deal poorer in a year's time.
Quentin, it's past midnight. You're in this week's studio. You must have a new book out.
I'm normally in deepest Herefordshire by this time on a Thursday.
So
I have.
So what's it called?
It's called, can I say it? I don't know. After midnight, probably.
Oh,
Patronising Bastards, it's called. Ofcom are very twitchy about this.
About Michael and Caroline like that.
And it's trying to analyse, in, I hope, a jaunty and rude and funny way, why things like the Brexit vote happened, why the Trump thing happened a bit, and why the rise of momentum has happened. And it's because, I think, the voters, the people of Britain, are fed up with these patronising snoots who are running our public affairs.
Well, we're glad you stayed up to be with us.
It's jolly nice to be here.
You can go to bed now.
I'm falling asleep. No, I'm not.
No, the viewers are, though. Remember Glastonbury?